And good morning and welcome to Flamingo Fight Talk. It is me, one of your co-hosts, Derek Schramm, and with me is no one else. It is just me this morning. Kelby couldn't make it. No worries, because today we're here to quickly recap last week's fight, UFC Fight Night Evloya versus Murphy, and to cover UFC Seattle Adesanya versus Pyfer. Let's get into last week really quick. So, damn, I did that whole rant last week on how MVPs disrespected and yada yada, and how like ranked fighters matter, damn it. And wow, like that was a performance. Let's just go through my unfortunately bad takes, I guess, last week. Low key, they're good takes, but it did not work my way, and that's the fun part about combat sports. I don't know how great the takes were in reality. First, let's talk about respecting ranked fighters. I made a whole big deal about it, and I did throw a caveat on there. So let's start with that first one. The Melissa Dixon versus Luana Carolina card, our fight. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, I vaguely remember that, but I can't quite recall how that fight ended up playing out. Well, and that is because it was booked and it didn't happen because Luana Carolina missed weight. She missed weight by, I think it was 8 pounds. She almost weighed in at the division above her. You had Melissa Dixon crying the weigh-in scales, and I've heard, how social media is nowadays. You can never tell exactly the reason why it is, but it's either, she was crying because it's hard to make weight, or she realized it was hard to make weight and her opponent wasn't making weight, and there probably wasn't going to be a fight. So hopefully Melissa Dixon gets back in there soon. And Jesus, Luana Carolina, how many weight misses has she had? I think it's 3. Tapology should be able to show me 1, 2, 3. Yes, she's missed weight 3 times. First time was back in 2021 against Poliana Botelho. I believe I pronounced that. I'm not going to get these. Juliha Stolarenko. And then most recently against Melissa Mullins, who the fight didn't even go through because the weight miss was so bad. Yeah, and I made a whole thing about it. Let's see if she's still ranked actually. About how ranked fighters need to be respected, yada yada. Oh, and she went up. I don't know if she went up, but she is still ranked number 14 in the division. Right below her, Misha Tate, active fighter there as well. So I remember last week saying, frankly, we need to cut some fighters from the UFC. And I'm not necessarily saying the ranked fighters are the ones who need to be cut. But like I did say, you can absolutely cut the 11 through 15 in a lot of these divisions just to add some more stakes to the rankings. But if I'm the only one that cares about that, I'll stop talking about it. Comment below to let me know. But unfortunately, that fight didn't go through. Again, the weight miss, it is what it is. But moving on, let's go just cover some of the other ranked fighters on that card. Well, actually, first of all, let's talk about the actual first card of the night, which was one of the performances of the night. Didn't go long into round 2. 6 minutes, 17 seconds total. Chanel Dyer with the great knockout over Ravena Oliveira, obviously. Am I still good? I think picture. Okay, no worries. The pip was just closing to maintain quality. Hasn't happened before. Normally I'm live streaming with Kelby and it's no problem, but this is what happens when I do it by myself because Kelby knows more on this website than I do. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, Chanel Dyer, I mean, against Ravena Oliveira, it wasn't it was a great win. It wasn't something to write home about per se, but definitely want to watch the next fight because that was a good one. Hopefully, she fights before the next London card since we only do those once a year. What's the next fight I want to talk about? Mario Pinto in a boring fight moves up to 12-0 in the heavyweight division. Probably, okay, the best fight on the card by far. not in terms of action, the best fight on the card. Mason Jones versus Axel Sola. What a great fight. And yeah, it did get the fight of the night. So both those gentlemen should have got an extra 100K. So great for them. Axel Sola, I know, was one of those guys. He's a French prospect, and he looked good. Tough. He definitely rocked Mason Jones that round one, but Mason Jones had that Frankie Edgar leg dog in him, and he just stuck it to him. And on a technical aspect, I think I keep wanting to say Axel Sola. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Sosa. Um, but I'm sorry. What was I saying? But yeah, no, it's just like he's definitely, I think, a better fighter than Mason Jones, even though Mason Jones got the win. But damn, like he had no head movement. He kind of like just bobbed his head back and forth a little bit, like as his reset when he's breaks after an exchange. Not actual head movement, but like, yeah, no. Mason Jones just kept like when you're going in and out, and if your head's going straight back, they know where it's going to be. You gotta be slipping and have some head movement. I know he's good enough, so I'm sure we will see it in the future. But hey, Axel Sola got his first loss. It's in the UFC. UFCs were, and hey, sorry. Uh, yeah, look. Last fight was Reese McKee. He body shot, ground and pound strikes. That was a good fight. I remember that one actually last year. And then, yeah, lost to Mason Jones. So I like to see Solo back in there soon. He's definitely going to be a fun fighter. So, and Mason Jones, damn, like great win for him. Let's go on to the main card. I'm not going to talk about all these fights, or I'll talk quickly. Danny Silva got a nice knockout in round two over Curtis Campbell. And let's get back into talking about ranked fighters. Roman Dolidze. I liked Roman Dolidze a lot. What was his fight that I think, unfortunately, might end up becoming his keynote? Who was it against? Was it against Hermanson 2022? I feel like it wasn't that long ago. I know he put a beating on Anthony Smith. I can't remember who it was. Damn. Okay, well, I'm not going to continue on that. I am going to have to look. Roman Dolidze was one of those guys where he had the power. He could land. He wasn't the best, but he had such an interesting ground game. And I think he was one of those guys that was like really kind of like, all right, I like where he's at. While middleweight was like, Izzy was on top. I'm not trying to say it was boring then. But Izzy really did clear out some contenders and like some legacy names in that division. And now we have kind of a vibrant middleweight division, which is so weird that it's like middleweight is so fun again. To me, it reminds me when I came into the fan base where, like, I mean, Weidman. That's the thing. Like, when I came into the MMA fan base, I came in with pretty much like a couple fights before Anderson Silva being knocked out by Chris Weidman in the first fight. So it's one of those things where it's like, I know, it's like, I need to get like the boys on and we can do a stream about this, but it's like we came in on an interesting point of fandom where we kind of did hit the Rousey McGregor era's like escalation trail there, but we did come in before it just as a, hey, let's watch the fights. And so like we kind of like watched through a lot of the Fox deal, saw the rise around. He saw Rousey in the UFC, not in Strikeforce. Saw the rise of Conor McGregor and a lot of these other guys, and then we got into the ESPN era until we kind of like got busy with life and stuff, and left and came back during the Paramount era. But yeah, like Dolidze was one of those guys where he was a dual threat. And dual threats are always important in the division. He was a good ranked fighter. And yeah, I mean, 2 losses in a row. Is that his? It's not his first time getting 2 losses in a row. He lost to Vittori and Imavov previously. So, and then his only other loss is Trevin Giles. Is that Giles? Yeah, Trevin Giles back in 2021. So it's like, The guy's good, but there's I think a very clear ceiling that's starting to be above him with losses to a 2023 Vittori, um, Nasruddin Imavov, who's number one contender right now, then an Anthony Hernandez, who unfortunately lost his last fight, but he absolutely dominated Delize. And yeah, Delize did get that win back against a 2025 Vittori, but that's not the same Vittori. So yeah, Christian Leroy Duncan. I mean, at least in last 5 years, so we can exclude the Trevin Giles fight, which was pretty early in his. That was his third fight in the UFC. Um, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I guess we gotta keep an eye on Delize because no disrespect to Duncan, he looks really good. I'm excited for more of his fights. And hey, he's a ranked fighter now. They threw him in right at I think it was 12. Yeah, Christian Leroy Duncan, ranked 12 in the middleweight division, right above Paulo Costa, right below Gregory Rodriguez. Roman Dolidze, knocked out MVP from those rankings if he was even in those rankings. Oh, no. MVP's in the welterweight rankings, even though he wants to be a middleweight. Sorry, my bad. But Dolidze is now occupying the 15th ranked position. So let's keep moving up this card. Good fight, but ultimately a decision. Oh my gosh, why is this being so slow? There we are. All right, let's get into it. I am not going to be able to pronounce this lane. Iwo Baranevsky, can't do it, versus Austin Lane, 1-4. Austin Lane is now 1-5. Austin Lane, I took him 30 seconds to knock out probably the worst fighter in the UFC. I really don't mean disrespect, but yeah, no, Austin Lane kind of sucks. He's there to get knocked out for people. Like, that's what his job is in the UFC. So, why are both these like this? Why is this doing this to me? There we go. Having to do all the nonsense. All right, let's get into the boring fight on the card. The reload bad one. Michael Venom Page versus Sam Patterson. And here you had me going a whole thing about the disrespect of MVP and yada this and yada that. I'm not going to rehash it. I do think MVP is disrespected. I do think he'd rather fight at middleweight. I thought the matchmaking of Sam Patterson is bad. I still think he should have been the co-main event, but oh my God, if that was the co-main event, I don't think they would have given Lerone Murphy and Movsar Avoyev. I think there would have been a lot more booze in that fight if and I understand the co-main went to a decision too, but that was a frustrating fight. You can't lie. And like, I know I was going hard on MVP, saying all this and that and yada yada, and we did actually read quite a few comments. We got a lot of engagement last week. Thinking about making a video response where we just go through the comments, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We would like, hey, we are getting the most engagement on TikTok, definitely the most views there. Getting a lot of comments on Instagram still though, and we've just started seeing our YouTube starting to pick up. Obviously, anywhere you see us, that's nice, but we are on multiple platforms. And if you could be so kind to like, share, subscribe, especially subscribing to the YouTube where we put out these episodes. We are also on Spotify if you like a podcast version of it. But, just we have platforms. But getting back to it, MVP, it's frustrating because he just runs right into the middle, right in the front, pushing Sam Patterson to the black line. So he's definitely on the back, but then he just waits. And he has that very bladed side stance, almost kind of ducking because the wheel kicks and the backside kicks are right around the corner. And he just kind of slides and waits. And he'll come up, hit a very stylish back fist and stylistic back fist. There we go. And he'll do other stuff, and it's good, but damn, thank God that was only a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight. That was rough. I put the onus on Sam Patterson. And yes, you can say I'm an MVP booster. So, I mean, if you want to call me that, whatever. Look, if you're the one winning the fight, it's not on you to mix it up, even if it's a boring fight. If you're it's on the opponent. If you're losing and boring, that's on you. If you're going to lose, you might as well be exciting. And I know they're teammates, so maybe he didn't want to like just. I'm like, yeah, you can't go rush in. Like, you can't just go straight forward rushing in on MVP. You're going to get countered. But, bro, you were on a 4-fight win streak for first round finishes because you were running in there and getting finishes. They wanted, like, clearly they wanted you to try that on MVP. I think they wanted you to get it done on MVP. But, like, yeah, they were setting that fight up where we had a hammer running forward against one of the most stylistic counter strikers in the sport in MVP. And yeah, the other guy didn't engage. So, and like, I'm not trying to say that because I am trying to say it, but I understand how that comes across. Because, yeah, MVP, he has a history in this situation of being boring when he does this. It's very similar to Izzy and Yoel, I think, where it's like, if both guys are going to just counter strike, there's not a whole lot there. So MVP moved up in the rankings to rank 13. I don't know why he would move up if Sam Patterson wasn't ranked. Did someone else lose? Who went down? Eros Medic went down. So poor Eros Medic. And Colby Covington still ranked 14. Did you hear Colby Covington no longer doing the MAGA bit? Wow. What a betrayal. I can't talk about that here. I gotta wait for Kelby. um, Luke Riley wins a decision win against Michael Aswell Jr. It was a decent fight. Shouldn't have been the co-main. Really, I'm like, hey, you want to talk like hindsight's 2020, but that Mason Jones Axel Sola card fight, maybe that should have been the co-main. That was great. And then let's get into the main event: Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. I've been hearing robbery. I've been hearing this. I've been hearing, if you go back and watch it a second time, you can see it from Movsar. And it's like, okay, this is my score. I had Lerone Murphy round 1, Lerone Murphy round 2. Round 3 was close, but I believe Movsar Evloev won in the last 15 seconds with that flurry. That was the most damaging strikes of the round. Round 4 was the best round for Movsar. Unfortunately, there was the point deduction. Anyone complaining about the point deduction, I'm sorry, this needs to happen. It was a great point deduction. He kicked him, and they were both accidental. I'm not saying it was intentional. Doesn't matter if it matters if it's intentional, because if it's intentional and the ref can deduce that, he should just disqualify him. But it was an accident. Accidental fouls happen all the time, but there do need to be consequences. And where you saw this and Movsar definitely won round 5 with a point deduction. That makes it a draw in my book, and I think a draw was fair. Let me get back to what I was saying with the other part. And so Movsar, he hits him in the groin once in the round previous, and then he does it again. So yeah, Mark Goddard, he takes the point, and he should. No disrespect. No, sorry, Movsar. He's a great fighter. This is one of the most skilled fights they've made this year, Evloev and Movsar. So, I mean, and honestly, it wasn't a boring fight. I didn't feel bored watching that fight. I was pretty entertained, to be honest. But yeah, points need to be taken when fouls. So, if the points weren't taken, easy win for Movsar on my scorecard. First 2 rounds, Murphy. Next, back 3, Movsar. Obviously, the point deduction makes it a tie. Obviously, Movsar got the win. I believe a lot of people gave him round 1. Lerone Murphy outstruck Movsar in round 1, and I guess the argument is Movsar landed the stronger shots. I mean, he was good because he was really doing that ducking overhand, then coming up with that lead uppercut. He threw that several times, or the hua hua. It's great for covering distance. That overhand, if it lands, that great damage. That's why round 3 really should be scored for Movsar. That overhand he lands on Murphy cuts open the eye. It was the most damaging punch of the entire fight. So that is why Mobsar won round three in the last like 20 seconds there. But yeah, he comes in, hits it, and then he just comes up with that full body torquing uppercut. And that's a good thing, but that's not clean striking. And, Lerone Murphy's good. And I'm sure he was in the back of his head waiting for that wrestling to come. But like that can be countered. You just got to slip out of that overhand, then hit him with the check hook, hit him with the long straight, and yeah, it's going to give Mofsar some trouble if he's going to be throwing those winking shots on the feet more often. But that is kind of the thing we want to talk about here. The big story is Mofsar really refused to wrestle. People are saying, oh, the first two rounds. He didn't really wrestle the third round either. He had one or two. Frankly, it's not until he lost the point that he started wrestling, which also makes you think it's like, okay, if he lost the point, would he have kept it standing on the feet? The rest of the fight, because I mean, and like this is where Mofsar definitely handicapped him in that fight. He clearly chose not to wrestle those first couple rounds. He had opportunities to do so. He caught Lerone Murphy's leg several times. Honestly, for Lerone Murphy, I would have liked to see some more leg kicks out of him. Obviously, once Mofsar decided to start doing the takedowns, it definitely opened opened up the rest of the fight and it was pretty clear. But before that, I'm kind of watching it. It's like, Lerone, like, okay, the other guy's choosing not to take you down right now. Invest in those leg kicks, slow him down on the feet, take some of the strength out of his shots when they do start coming later on. Because I think it was Josh Thompson I was watching, and basically he's saying like, look, some other fighter, I can't remember who. He always said like, look, you can only wrestle for 15 minutes. So if it's a 25-minute fight, you can only wrestle for 3 of those rounds. You have to, or you got to mix it up. And you know, to counter that, if someone's going to choose the back half of the rounds to wrestle, which would be the strategic way, okay, survive on the feet the first 2 rounds and then wrestle in the back half after they're already kind of tired a little bit. That way you're not tired out wrestling, and then you have to survive striking in the later rounds. It's a conditioning thing, kind of, do your A game when you're tired, not your B game when you're tired. Kind of a smart thing to do there. But the counter to that, like, okay, well, Lerone chop at his legs a little bit, weaken him. But regardless, I had it a draw, which is funny. I'm okay with the Mofsar one. If in my mind he only lost because of that point deduction, I do think and he also like he might have ended up losing that fight though, to be honest, without that point deduction, because I don't know if he gets that same drive to wrestle. And all those rounds were close, and Lerone Murphy might have been able to steal a decision there. But apparently they already gave Mofsar the first round, so maybe not. Anyways, that was UFC London. Evloev versus Murphy. It was a good card. Evloev definitely needs the title fight against Alexander Volkanovski, and I'm excited for it. But let's get into today's card, and we're going to just run through. I'm not going to do the whole. Oh, okay, let's just go through it. Honestly, great card. It was a fun card. This one coming up here, I like it a lot. I'm going to be honest. So the first card fight on the card, Alexia Thainara versus Bruna Brazil. I'm not super familiar with either one of them. I know Bruna Brazil a little bit more, but pretty much the rest of this card, I know at least someone. Adrian Yanez versus Ricky Simone. That should be a great action fight. I love Ricky Simone. I hope he can turn it around. He had that terrible 3-fight losing streak after, hit that 5-fight run he had, which, it was great. But looking back on it, it's, Ray Borg, Pierello, Kelleher, Sun Sao, and Jack Shore. So, in hindsight, maybe not as great names as we were thinking. Then that 3-fight losing streak, Song Yadong, Batista, Vinces Oliveira. That's a tough one. Comes back against Javid Basharat and Cameron Smotherman, but then loses to Hani Barcelos last time out. Now going back in the cage against Adrian Yanez. Why am I talking so much about the second fight on the card? I just really like Ricky Simone. Yanez 6-3 in the UFC. They share. He's also coming off of a loss. I will say, Adrian Yanez, he's great. He comes into the UFC, goes on a one, two, three, four, five fight winning streak, all performance bonuses. You know, all knockout except for his fight with Davy Grant, which I think was a great. That was a brawl, if I remember right. And then he loses to Rob Font. He loses to Jonathan Martinez. Gets the win against Vinicius Salvador. And then loses to Daniel Marcos last time out. So he's going back into it. Ricky Simone's not ranked anymore, is he? He was at one point. But yeah, yeah, man. That is a stacked division. You don't need to cut the bottom five out of bantamweight. They can stay. You can expand bantamweight to 20. That way you can get my boy Ricky Simone ranked. I don't think he's even there at 20. What does Tapology have him? They have him 32. Damn. All right. I'm going to be rooting for Ricky Simone in that fight. Next up, Bruno Lopez versus Navajo Sterling. I'm only highlighting Navajo Sterling because he is 8-0 in the UFC. Ranked fighters are always fun, especially a good fun injection into the light heavyweight division will be fun. I'm going to skip the Casey O'Neill, Gabriel Fernandez fight. I like the original fight of this more. Marcin Tybura versus Tyrell Fortune. Tyrell Fortune, it was a big Bellator fighter. This is going to be his UFC debut, but 13-2 in Bellator, only 1-1 in PFL. PFL was Sergey Bilosteny. I going to pronounce that wrong. And then Linton Vassell was his loss in Bellator. That was a split decision back in 2021. And then there was also one more loss to a Tim Johnson, who I don't know who he is. And like I know all these people are gonna be like, oh, Bellator fighters, they're this or they're that. There's clearly some criticism, but like I'm not saying Terrell Fortune is an elite Bellator fighter, but it is what it is. There's a difference, but heavyweight's the weakest division in the UFC, so some new life there is always great. I mean, and like Marcin Tybura, he's good. He's always good for a couple wins in a row, then a loss. It was that 2017 to 2019 era where he got those, four losses. He went one in his only win was Stefan Struve. He lost to Fabricio, Derek Lewis, Augusto Sakai, Shamil Aberdakarmov, whatever. And like that's the thing. He'll go on to win, beat Rothwell, Hardy, Harris, lose to Volkov, beat Blagoy and Alexander Romov, lose to Tom Aspinall, beat Tai Tuivasa, lose to Spivak, beat two other guys, lose to D'Elia. So, Marcin Tybura, he will beat guys, but he's going to lose to good guys. And I guess that's really what we're going to see is Tyrell Fortune is he going to be working his way to the top of this heavyweight division because he will be able to start that by knocking out or beating Marcin Tybura. Chase Hooper getting back in the octagon. I am always happy to see my guy Chase 8-4 in the UFC, coming off of that knockout loss or ground and pound loss to Alexander Hernandez. He was riding a good 3-fight win streak before that, including one performance of the night against Clay Guida. I like Chase Hooper a lot. I don't know if he's ever going to get there, but I'm going to thoroughly enjoy watching his journey just because it's going to be fun. Lance Gibson Jr., another Bellator fighter, though he has fought in the UFC. He lost a split decision to Bobby Green. No disrespect, many a man have lost split decisions to Bobby Green. I don't really know too much about his Bellator career, so I'm going to be curious to watch this fight because I like Chase Hooper a lot, but I don't know how good Lance Gibson Jr. is, so that'll be fun. Going back up, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Tofik Musayev. I know Bahamondes took a little bit of a stock hit in his last fight against Fiziev. He just got completely dominated, his best win his best win is Jalen Turner, and that was a weird Jalen Turner he fought. So I think there's still a lot of upside on Bahamondes, though. Obviously, is it his brother Ignacio? No, what am I? No, yeah, this is who I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's Ignacio. Sorry. Obviously, he's he's good. He has a lot of upside. Again, one of those guys who I want to keep on watching. Tofik Musayev. I'm pretty sure this is UFC day. Nope, he has also has one loss in UFC. He went 1-1 in Bellator and 7-1 from Risen. He lost to Orobai his last fight back in June. His other losses are to Alexander Shabley in Bellator. He beat Sidney Outlaw, so that's good win and not a disrespectful loss. I do not know the Risen fighters or Ryzen fighters. I do not know who Roberto de Souza is, who was his last fight, but he did lose by triangle choke. He did beat Patricky Pitbull though in Rising, and Patricky Pitbull is pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good. Is that for a belt? That was a tournament final. Anyway, so man, I think Ignacio is a pretty big favorite. Let me look at the card really quick. Baha Monday. Why can't I see it? That's why, because I'm dumb. I am not seeing the rankings. I'm pretty sure it's like Baja Mendes is a minus 200 favorite. I think I saw that. I'm not sure if he is. That would make Tafik Musayev a pretty live dog, in my opinion. Let's keep going up the card. We are now in the main event. I do got a bet on this one. Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. This is great matchmaking. I love these guys. They both go out of a cannon. Kyle Nelson absolutely has the tactical advantage in this fight, being able to take this to the ground. He can control this if he chooses to. Terrence McKinney is damn good, and he either finishes or he gets finished, and it happens fast. The money on this fight, not to go to decision, I'm pretty sure that's a minus 700 thing. So, but it's the ones that count. Going up, the Mansour Abul Malik fight versus Yurizi Belag. No disrespect. I'm sorry. I cannot pronounce that name. Um, yeah, I mean, Malik is good. Let's keep watching this. I wish it was a different person, a more exciting person. Was he booked again? Yeah, no. So this is the fight they made. I don't know this guy really at all. He's 9-3 from Holland. 1-1 contender series, one win in the UFC. Yeah, like I have no idea how good this guy is. So we'll see. But they're definitely spotlighting him, putting on the main card. And now let's get into these fights. One of my favorite fighters in the sport right now, Julian Erosa, Juicy J. Um, this guy's so this guy's so good. Even though his record isn't 9-8 in the UFC, he goes up and down. He just fights he fights a lot, but and he loses a lot. I just like Julian Erosa. You know what I mean? Like I like D Rod more, but I know they're not the same fighter, but I know it's weird about Erosa. Like he's just one of those guys where he's a fun fight. And then Larian Douglas, I'm pretty sure is Cub Swanson's guy who's going to be making his UFC debut. Um, I think there's some motion on, as much as I like Erosa, I think there's some motion on Gunslinger Douglas there. So I would absolutely, I think Douglas might win that fight. Let's go into the feature bout. This is the retirement fight. At least I hope it is. Definitely the retirement fight for Michael Chiesa. His original opponent was Carlston Harris, and apparently he had some. He's from Mozambique. He had some visa issues. Oh no, sorry, he's from Guyana. His nickname's Mocambique. That's why that happened. I don't know how good that guy is. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, but Michael Chiesa's a little old, man. This is Chiesa's retirement fight. His last fight was the loss as well. No, he won his last. He's on a 3 fight win streak, but it's Tony Ferguson, Max Griffin, and Cork McGee. So it is not the heydays of him taking on RDA, Carlos Condit, Benil Darush, and all those guys. So I hope Michael Chiesa wins this. Nico Price is fun, but he sucks. And I hope Nico Price also retires here because I don't want to see that guy get brain damage, and he's going to get brain damage if he keeps this up. Into the co-main event, Alexa Grasso, the former champion, going against Macy Barber. This is a good fight. I'm excited for this fight. Macy Barber, number 5 ranked. Alexa Grasso tied for 3rd. Aaron Blanchfield tied with Alexa Grasso. Above him, Manon Farrow and Natalia Silva, who's definitely going, who I'm saying definitely should most likely be getting the next title fight. But Macy Barber, Alexa Grasso, probably the number 2 backup here, especially, I think so. It's like clearly Alexa Grasso have reached the better high, has the best, like one of the best all-time wins in the sport over Valentina Shevchenko. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I think her time has passed. Macy Barber, she's had some struggles. She's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. Her last loss was against Alexa Grasso. Um, you know, she was booked up to fight with Aaron Blanchfield and Rose Namajunas. I don't know why the Rose fight got canceled in 2024, but in 2025 she missed weight against Blanchfield, and that's why that one didn't happen. And Blanchfield, I'm pretty sure, who did she just lose to? She ended up losing to Manon Farrow in 2024, and yeah, Maron Farrow lost to Shevchenko, so she got taken out of those rankings there, or not taken out of the rankings, but that's. I mean, this is. Blanchfield's still ahead of her, so Macy Barber is kind of one of my favorite fighters in this division. I think she's exciting. I think it can be fun. I don't know if she beats Shevchenko, but I'd like to see her at least get her title fight or at least a headline against Blanchfield, but she has to get past Alexa Grasso, and that's going to be a tough fight for her to do. Alexa Grasso's really good, but she's coming off 2 losses against Natalia Silva and Shevchenko. So it's one of those things where momentum's going one way and Grasso's momentum's going down, but Macy, she has that inconsistent momentum, but she's on a 7-fight win streak. So I'm rooting for Macy there, and hopefully she can get it done. And let's get into our main event. Joe, be like Joe Pyfer, against the last stylebender. Israel Adesanya. Great matchmaking. Let's go into the tactical advantage. Izzy has the whole bag of tools and weak durability. Joe Pyfer has youth, explosivity. He has big power, but he does not have a lot of tools. He is a clubbing type striker, normally crowding his opponent so he can land big shots. 25 minutes against Izzy, having some of the best footwork, style, counter striking, and again, just the bag of tricks, like an arsenal. Izzy has an arsenal. I don't want to call it a bag of tricks. He has an arsenal. And Joe Pyfer has one reliable weapon, which is his right hand. And that right hand can do the job if he can land it on Izzy. But I don't think Izzy's durability is so bad where it's going to be a one-hitter quitter. But yeah, like this is a fun fight because those first 2 rounds are going to be interesting. If Izzy loses this is the worst. And I mean no disrespect when I say worst. But let me say it this way. This is the least best fighter that Izzy would have lost to. No disrespect to Joe Pyfer, but just Izzy does not lose to up-and-coming fighters. He loses to elite fighters. As for but like the durability thing, like bro has had he had like 80 kickboxing fights. He's had a ton of MMA fights, a ton of 5-round MMA fights. He was a beloved champion for a while there. Like and he's taken some beatings now, and nothing too bad. But man, I Izzy versus Pfeiffer. Izzy's still the favorite. People are still expecting him to get it done. I count myself in there. I think Izzy's counter striking is going to give Joe Pfeiffer struggles, and then I think Pfeiffer's going to get tired out. And the question is, does Izzy put it together and finish Pfeiffer, or does he just cruise to a victory there? I don't know about that, but that is my take. Izzy to win, Macy Barber to win, Chiesa to win, and Terrence McKinney. Who's he fighting again? The Terrence McKinney fight to end by finish. Most likely, Terrence McKinney is going to win, but I'm not going to. Is it Kyle Nelson? I'm not going to bet against Kyle Nelson. That is the card. Thank you for watching. Sorry it was just me by myself today, but it's all good. I rescheduled on Kelby anyway, so here we are doing the business, watching the fights, talking about the fights, and I'm happy to do so. So if you like the show, share us around, comment. We like to hear from you. We do comment back. Again, we're thinking about making a video kind of responding some comments and stuff like that. Might be talking about doing a live stream in the future. What else? I think that's it. Have a good one, everyone.